Hey everyone, Nate from Octave Studios here. I hope you are all doing fantastic. It's mid-January and it's time for Tips and Tricks number 5. This one is preparing for the studio. The focus is singles, but at the end I'll go a little more in depth on EPs and LPs and how they're a bit more complex. Alright, so you want to prepare a song for your single, but you don't know which one to use. If you've already played a show, maybe it's the song that got the best reception from the audience. If you haven't yet, if you've invited people over, maybe it's the best song that everyone kept bringing up after that they said was uber catchy. And if you're really not sure, maybe you just need to go and quickly record a live demo of what you guys feel are your strongest songs, and then you guys can listen over those and figure out which one you feel can go a bit more in depth and actually go and get the studio treatment. The last thing you can do after you have these live demos, if you're still unsure, is send them to either the engineer you're working with or a few people you know and ask them, which song do you feel is the strongest out of all of these? From there, you should be able to figure out which one you want to use. Now, the next step is to find someone to work with you on your single. What audio engineer are you going to go with? If you know who you're going to go with already, great, dial them up, book the time, get her done. If you don't, ask around. Ask the bands that you play with, or ask the bands that you know if you haven't played your first show yet, and see who they think would be the best fit for you. From there, look around, listen to a few portfolio tracks, and figure out who works best for you. From there, send them your live demos if you haven't already, and get their opinion on which one you want, and let them know which song you were thinking of doing as well. From there, be ready to take some of their advice, because if you're asking them to help you out on producing a song, they're going to have suggestions on maybe some changes. Know that they're not trying to shit on you, they're just trying to help you write better music. Maybe there are a few transitions that could be a bit stronger. Maybe there are a few chord progressions that seem a little out of place. Or maybe a vocal melody could just be worked on a bit more. Or perhaps there could be some harmonies. Who knows? These are all things that maybe you aren't quite thinking of when you're jamming in the room, but an engineer or producer will be able to help you with. After that, you want to make some scratch tracks for your song, and you want to practice them a lot before you get into that studio. Now, this is where you can take a few of the ideas that we went over in video 2. If you have Tux guitar, this is where you can tab it out. If you have Guitar Pro, same thing. Tab it out, figure out your tempos, figure out your time signature changes if you have any. Tab them out. Or better yet, if you have a free DAW or if you're already kind of into recording, record guitars to it and create a click track. And everybody should be practicing to that click track. You want to go in as tight and as prepared as possible. If you go in and you haven't practiced, it'll show, especially in drumming and guitar playing. And also be ready with fresh strings on your basses, fresh strings on your guitars. Vocalists, be nice to yourself before you go into the studio. And drummers, again, please prepare. Practice to a metronome, get everything tight. The next thing you need to do is plan a budget. Not only for the recording of the song, but for anything else you're going to do to promote the single. Whether that's advertising, making a video, maybe going and playing a show or two out of town to try and promote it if you got good reception locally, or if you haven't played a local show yet, figure out a way to make the song help promote your first show. Both can be beneficial, either song promoting show or show promoting song. Both work. Just figure out how you're going to promote this song after it's all said and done, and have a proper budget plan in place to pay for everything that you're going to need to do. If everyone goes in prepared, it won't be that stressful. But if you guys don't put in the time, the cost of everything as you start thinking about it will increase. If you're thinking about doing merch to go with it, factor in how much the merch is going to cost by the time you want to release the song and play the show, because you don't want to do one without the other more often than not. Now we're going to briefly touch on how these are a bit more complex for EPs and LPs. Now, obviously, when you get to EPs and LPs, you have a lot more songs you're going to have to work on, which means there's going to be a lot more time that you have to spend on this entire process. Now, generally, you can have a band go through a song full preparation in a few weeks if you guys are really tight. If you're really new and figuring it out, maybe a month to prep a song. Now, imagine doing that over 6 months for 6 songs, or an entire year for an LP. That's a lot of work where you're kind of isolated doing your own thing, focusing on creating something and not really focused on getting yourself out there and creating a name for yourself. Now, if we're going into that, now think about the work in scratch tracking, figuring out your tempos for everything, figuring out the budget for however you're going to do it, or the time if you're going to try to do it yourself. And then how are you going to promote it? If you're going to do larger scale albums, there's got to be a lot more put into the promotion for that, because if you put in a lot of time, effort, and resources into creating a large scale project, if you don't do something to promote that properly, it's kind of a waste of that project and those resources. Even if you feel accomplished in getting it out there, if you don't do anything past that to help give it some wings and fly out into the masses, per se, you're going to feel real defeated by the end of everything. So remember, proper planning is essential. And this is why I really stress doing singles over EPs and LPs when it comes down to starting out as a new band, trying to gain awareness for yourself. You spend less time. It allows you to focus on writing more material, playing more shows. It's more financially advantageous for you because you don't have to spend as much. You're just going in on a regular basis, spending small increments of money rather than large lump sums up front. And you're just getting instant reactions as you release these one at a time and testing the waters to see how they react with your fan base and being able to grow, in my opinion, a lot quicker as a group and a unit versus if you bunkered down for 6 to 12 months working on a larger scale project. With that, best of luck. Remember to prepare, put in the work, and it'll show in the recording. A huge thing that audio engineers say is get it right at the source, and that is why a lot of audio engineers will stress that we need you to know your stuff, because if you can play your stuff great, that makes our job a lot easier, and for drummers, that means you don't have to get replaced by a drum machine, which no one wants to do if they don't have to. Best of luck, everyone. If you have some music that you've recorded or released, please link it to me. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear what you guys are all up to. I hope you are all taking something away from these videos, and we're going to figure out what the next few tips and tricks are going to be on really soon. Take care. Have a great day.